Howdy, and welcome back. We are officially live. It is time for Workshop Wednesday. This week's edition is Beyond Basics. We are talking about how to structure your BigQuery accounts. Kind of a little BigQuery series we're doing right now. Welcome. If this is your first Workshop Wednesday, my name is Mercer. Everybody calls me Mercer. You should as well, though technically it's Chris Mercer. I am the co-founder of measurementmarketing.io, and whether you found us through some of the podcasts and talks that we are constantly out there giving, also maybe you found us through some of the content we share with other platforms. Maybe you're already a member over at measurementmarketing.io. However you found us, we're happy that you're here. It's our job to help people like you learn how to use all these fun tools, including BigQuery in this particular case. I think a tool that will be growing in popularity through 2022, 2023, and beyond. And of course, we have the Measurement Marketing Academy, which is our flagship training program. It's our just-in-time learning platform that we have. And we'll talk more about that at the end of the content today. Right now, though, it's time for your one thing. Remember, the whole point, especially with a tool like BigQuery, is to pick one idea, one new concept. You practice that. Today, we're going to talk about structure. So just practice that stuff, kind of think it through, and then, you pick up another new one thing. You can watch this video. It's why we keep them up there for you. All right, let's go ahead and get officially started. Beyond Basics, how to structure your Google BigQuery. All right, so we're going to go ahead and dive right in. We always start with the framework. Remember, we plan, we build, we launch. We're marketing in the blind. We're trying to get to a point where we just use a system that reliably grows revenue and profits. How do we do that? Well, we plan by asking questions, gathering the information needed to get answers to those questions, and knowing what actions we're going to take based upon the answers we get. Then we go into the build. We make sure the platform is measuring for the results we want it to measure for, that it knows where the traffic is coming from, and that those two things are connected in a natural story. Finally, we are listening to the conversation that's happening between the users and the website. Based on that conversation that we're listening in on, we can actually start to forecast how our future trends and patterns are going to go. And then finally, we can optimize to improve things. That's the measurement marketing framework. Now, where does BigQuery fit in? Specifically, it's going to really be in your story side of things. But today's lesson is really on the planning side of things. Before you just jump into BigQuery and start opening up data sets and projects and tables and everything else that that particular platform has with it, you got to have a good structure. You have to think through how everything's going to fit together. And that's what today's workshop is all about, how to actually think through this stuff to make sure it makes sense when you go into BigQuery. For that, of course, we've brought back JJ Reynolds. He is a returning champion when it comes to BigQuery. He's been helping clients with measurement for years and years now. He is a certified measurement marketer, one of our certified measurement marketers. So thank you, JJ, for doing that. We've recommended clients to him. He's absolutely fantastic. He's a whiz when it comes to Data Studio. And that's honestly what brought him into BigQuery. He, probably like you, was trying to figure out ways like, how do I get these freaking Data Studio reports to go faster? BigQuery was his answer. And he's got better and better and better at it, to the point where we're like, hey, man, why don't you share some of that juicy knowledge with everybody here? So that is why he is here. With that amazing introduction, JJ Reynolds, take it away.
Thanks so much for that introduction. We're going to hop directly into Lucidchart and start talking about some of the strategies that you might want to employ while diving into your BigQuery projects. Maybe you have some workflows in mind, and I'm just going to explain how it's structured and maybe a few tips for possibly doing this within your own organization. So, within BigQuery, we have one giant property which is called the organization. So this is like your organization of the account, and everything should live within this. Within an organization, then there are a few other types of things related to BigQuery, right? So in BigQuery, which is just one of the Google Cloud's apps, right? You can use BigQuery, like there's like AMP scripts. There's a whole bunch of other ones that you can use, like Cloud Functions and so many others, right? So you can use all these different ones, but we're not going to care about those. We're just going to dive into BigQuery. So within the BigQuery, like BigQuery, right, you can have a project, right? So this project is where the highest level of kind of organization for your BigQuery within Google Cloud. So then under a project, you then have something that's called a data set. A data set is just a bunch of individual tables, like think if we're relating to Google Sheets, of sheets that are all kind of grouped together. And so then inside of a data set, you then have tables. All right, so here is your organization, right? So organization at the top, you then have the BigQuery project, you then have a data set, and you then have tables. The problem that I have run into, and I'm sure others have as well, is how do you keep these organized? So this is what I like to do just in general. Is you will want to make sure that you have kind of everything rolled into one. Is I like to take a project and name this a client account. So let's just say client name here. Then your data set will be in relation to a type of data. So for example, if you're using Stripe information, you're loading that in because you might have separate, like I call them data loads into your client, right? So if you have a client name, then this is the data set of Stripe. Then you have a table of, for example, customers, right? So here is a very great way of doing that. And then you could have for another, for example, you could have customers, and then you could have another table of transactions. And then you could have another table, right? So here customers and transactions. And then you could maybe have another table, which is master Stripe, which is just a simple join of customers and transactions, right? So now every transaction has all the customer information on this master table. So that's one way you can kind of organize these things. But I'm keeping it super simple at the current moment, but people get really stuck, and I've gotten stuck in the past, so don't think I'm speaking from just I've seen this happen. I've actually done this, is when you go to your types of data. So I like to categorize things into three simple buckets of the information that you're putting into BigQuery. The raw data is what you get from the output of either an API or however you're ingesting that information. So for example, if you're using something like Datadue or Stitch, or Fivetran, there's all these different ones. There's a bajillion of them, right? Basically, a service that will get information into an API or out of it using an API into your table. I'm going to call that raw data, right? So what I'll usually do is this raw data, I will add the suffix of data load. So underscore data load. That way, you know in the future of saying, hey, this table is the information raw, unedited, loaded in from the API or from the connector or from whatever it is that you're getting that information from. That way you know that this is the one that you're working with, right? So then the next type of information is workflow data. So for example, what if you have multiple steps or multiple queries in your project, right? You might have, for example, one query, like a scheduled query that runs every single day that you are then appending the information of customer's transaction to that. But then you have another query that runs and schedules that information again. So this information is being just one step, right? One query or one table in your grand scheme of tables. And what I'll do here is you name the table. Let's just say, for example, customers by weather, because that's what we're going to call it. So customers, weather, hypothetical. So here, what you want to do is you can add one if this is the first step within a series. And then say, for example, you have another step of like having to then duplicate that information or I don't know, something along those lines. What you can do then is then add your next step and make it 10. And you're probably like, whoa, JJ, what happens like in between here? And then you use the highest number as the most manipulated and the actual most useful of that, right? And the reason why you want to use 1 and 10 is because what happens is you need to add a separate step, right, in between these two. So in your table, if you say, for example, needed to start adding something else of maybe you had to have another join or again, things happen, pipelines break, but you could add in 5. So now you know that there's a 5, there's a 10, you can see exactly how the information is flowing from one table to another table within this data set. So then what we all want, right, is an actual report. The report is what everybody pays for. That's exactly what everyone wants is your report data. And so you might have the temptation to be like, let me just connect my GDS report, right? So you're going to have a beautiful Data Studio report that you want to look at, which looks like this, right? So your beautiful report. And you might just be tempted to collect and put this information into the biggest table, right? But what I usually like to do is have a simple naming convention of where you make a table that is for Data Studio. So you might want to call it like viz, right? You want to add the suffix of viz or maybe Data Studio or GDS, whatever it might be. Just the reason is because you're going to lose track of these different manipulations that are taking place and then not remember when you're in Data Studio is what do I connect this to, right? How do I know which one am I supposed to connect it to this one? Maybe you also need the raw data because you're trying to count something specifically. Just give yourself a break and give the tables that you're connecting to Data Studio the suffix of GDS, or maybe you can use data viz if you'd like. So something along those lines. So that is kind of the idea behind those three types of data, right? We've got the raw data, we've got the workflow data, and then we have the data visualizations. And so that is, those three pieces, right, are really, really helpful in when you're trying to get the overarching, like, where are we in the overall process of how this works. And so here, I'll give you kind of a real world example of what this looks like. So here we have our organization, right? It's going to be media authentic. We then have a client. We then have all these different tables. So this is pretty much exactly what it looks like, where we have the client, where then we have one data set of Stripe, another data set of Active Campaign, another data set of Facebook ads, etc. And so in each of these, what we have is we have a data load. So we'll have like customers underscore data load. We'll then have transactions underscore data load, which are coming in, right? Naming conventions from our connection via DataDo. We then have this, which is a join. So this information just joins the information from this and this table. And so what we call this is our Stripe master. And usually these are all lowercase and hyphenated master. And I put 1, right? So we know that this is kind of the first step, right? The first step is joining these two pieces of information together. And now we have this. And then we have another one, right? So here's kind of where things get wonky. Is now you have another data set where we want to look at Active Campaign. And we have the same kind of information, right? We've got customers. So here, this would be called records, contact records. And here we might have, for example, tags. And so here we're gonna have the exact same situation, right? We're gonna join tags to contact records. So now we have a master overarching thing. So we're gonna call this AC underscore master underscore 1, just because we know it's the first thing that's kind of joining these two pieces together. And we're just gonna use these two for the example. And then from here, so we have these, right? We have Stripe, we have Active Campaign. And then what we're going to do is we have another one, which is for data visualizations. And so what we'll do is we have, for example, another table in this data visualization one of that says how many days in system, 1. And then this is viz, right? So then we have this whole other data set that's just the visualization. So what this is looking at, it's looking at this table, and it's looking at this table, and it's combining them together so that we can figure out exactly how many different types of transactions there are. And then also it says how long has this day been in the system. But we also, within this data visualization table, is we're getting the answers for all future questions, because we're taking all these rows and we're taking all of these columns and both of these columns. And then we're creating this new master data visualization. That's data viz 1 of days in system, right? And so say, for example, we break it, doesn't work. Something happened in one of these steps. Well, what we actually do here, right, to keep things simple, is we don't want to delete this, because you'll forget, like, oh, what's happening here? Is we can do days in system data viz 2 or 10, depending on kind of how we're doing this. Say we wanted to append more information. And number 2, say, for example, we wanted to have another data set, right, that we just say we have as weather, right? And so here, what we want to do is when I say we have all the weather, here maybe it's the weather by country, by city, by day, and we want to then connect this in together. So we could then join this, all of these information all back together to create one big table, right? We're just using one table to connect that to Data Studio, so then we can have the best visualization possible. So that in it of itself allows us to keep things organized within BigQuery so that you know exactly where to go, right? So we look at the company overall. We then have a client folder, which has the client. And then you have your different data sources, which if you have multiples of, you can then load those in, and then you can slowly create new tables if you need them that are more advanced, and then ultimately output to your data visualizations, right? And just to keep in mind, these are mostly in the sense of BigQuery small clients, right? BigQuery, you might run into a problem in the future of saying, oh no, we don't have enough resources or it's going to cost money to query things. And this system might not work if you're at billions of rows, right? So this is for the average, medium, small business answering those questions. So now is my ultimate hack, which we have is where we'll actually create a new data set that's testing. And this is a recent revolution that has really helped keep things organized. Is you have a new data set that's called testing, and then in this data set, right? So here we're looking at client. We then have the data set, the project, the data set, and then the tables, right? So here we have another data set, same as this stripe. So I'll just color all the data sets really quickly so that we don't get confused. And I'll just make them all, let's just do purple, right? So data sets are purple. And within the data set, we have this testing one. I usually just call it test. And here's where we'll have all of our test calls, APIs, queries, writing, everything, Facebook, right? So then this way, this is like this changed the game, right? Is you want to make sure that you know which ones are no longer being updated. So if you're a developer or yourself are running into like questions around queries or maybe how to load information in from an API or load information in from a connector, just use the test account. And then in here, you can use client name, and then you can put in the Stripe information, like test, right? If you can put whatever you want, but because you know what's in here, you know you're never going to use it to continue querying things, right? Because this is just test information and it's never going to be production ready. So that allows you to then test without ever getting confused in the future about saying, oh no, we have this one project, right? This one client has Stripe, Active Campaign, weather, and then the data visualizations. But we also have a test one, and you can use this for everything that you'd like to. So then you can just throw all of your test tables in here to then have a useful structure to kind of keep everything in one spot. So that is the overall hack, right? Of trying to keep things organized so that you don't have to spend a lot of time, and you can send a new developer, hey, here's how we have things laid out. As things get more complicated, you could then append your like documentation of saying, hey, this table does this data set is for X, Y, and Z. And then you can keep things kind of rolling. So again, small to mid-sized business, I'd say this is the way to go because you're allowed the most flexibility, and it's very easy to lay out your strategy of like, what are you trying to accomplish and what data do you need? Where is it? How do we get that moving? Where does it need to go? And then ultimately, how do you connect it to your data visualization, which is probably the most important point. So I hope this was helpful, and I hope you have a great Wednesday, and back to you. Thank you so much. See ya.
All right. Thank you so much for that, JJ Reynolds. Of course, those of you who are Academy members, you can reach JJ. He's one of the instructors back in Ask Instructor Support. He's also part of the Winner Circle community that's back with the Academy members. You can reach him at his websites, of course, Media Authentic and DataStudio.vip. Also, of course, his email, which you see there on the screen. The other thing I wanted to mention here is JJ is teaching Win Google BigQuery Basics. So it's also a Win course that's all already back in the Academy. So if you really want to deep dive into the BigQuery stuff, just make sure to check out JJ's course back there. Again, Win Google BigQuery Basics. It is already back there in the Academy itself. What was your one thing? I know for me, it was just that idea of the suffixes. I love hacks like that. I like the hack of the test thing, though I haven't used BigQuery enough personally to really see the benefit of that quite yet, but I am sure that is there because JJ's a wizard when it comes to this stuff. But those suffixes stuff immediately makes it just so much easier to see what you're looking at just by how you name things. And for anybody that knows me, you know I'm really big on naming conventions. So JJ, you got me there. That was my one thing. Hopefully you found at least one, if not more. Remember how it fits in the framework as well is specifically in this planning stage. What questions are you going to ask? Well, that specifically is going to, you're going to need information to get answers to that. Where's the information? It's in a data table. How are we going to organize that in BigQuery? How are we going to combine these things to join these certain tables so they can tell us these answers? Like that's where this stuff comes into play. And then of course you go into your build where you're actually setting up BigQuery. But this planning stage, do not skip it. It'll save you a ton of time. And again, the hacks that JJ showed, I think are just invaluable. So thank you again for those. Next week's topic is a strategy session. So we're going to be talking to those of you again who are the strategists. You may not be actually in using the tools themselves, but boy, do we have a topic for you by popular demand, planning your migration to GA4, obviously Google Analytics 4. Now that Google has put a clock on Universal Analytics, and by July 1st, 2023, it stops functioning in terms of getting new information. And by the end of 2023, it goes away. You won't be able to access it. At least that's the most current truth. So assuming that happens, it means we got about a year or so to get ready, just a little over a year. So this is being recorded in April of 2022, April 20th. So this is our topic, and we're going to talk about how to think through the strategy, how to build out your strategy, how to migrate, how to talk with the teams about it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Because it's a big, big deal. And the sooner you get on it, the better it's going to be, or else you're going to be like what I think 90% of the people are going to do. They're going to wait till last minute, and they're going to go, holy heck, we should have started 6 months ago. Don't let this be you. If you want this workshop, all you need to do is obviously subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you hit the notification icon. It'll let you know as soon as we start going live with our broadcast and have new videos available for you. And of course, you also have the option of using the Measurement Marketing Toolbox. We have the most current workshops that are always back there for you. So you can see the workshop from that previous week, along with any tools that we create for our members are back there for you as well. They're just, we make that part of the community. So the only thing we ask is that you use it. That's it. So once every 90 days or so, we're going to check if you haven't been using it. We're going to probably clear up space just to make room for somebody else. So that we can help them out. So you might just get an email on that. So that's it. If you want to, just go to measure.tip/WW. You'll put in your name and email. It will create a free account and send you the login details. That's how you get your Toolbox membership up and running. So with that, let's talk about the Measurement Marketing Academy. And if I could just repeat that one more time with a little more gusto. Let's talk about the Measurement Marketing Academy. It is, of course, our flagship training program. We built the Academy for one reason only, and that is to help you get through the measurement marketing framework over and over and over again at the various stages. We talk about there, and then you first start out, you're just learning this stuff. And so you can only do so much with measurement. Then you get through the framework, you build a little measurement muscle. Then you're going to come back through the framework again, build it again and again and again and again. And it keeps going like that. The Academy is there to help you to do that every step of the way, every time you go through the framework. A really quick tour of what the framework looks like, or not the framework, but the Academy itself. So when you come in, you will see these 6 core blocks that are here as an Academy member. Of course, we always have the latest updates each week that will come through here with some of the highlights of what's important as an Academy member for you. So you always have that. The main content is the courses, the workshops, and of course, the toolbox. So the courses, they look like this. They're all organized by date because they are updated typically every 4 to 6 weeks. We are doing an update to an existing course or a brand new course. You can see everything that is back here. There's an absolute ton organized by date because as an Academy member, you don't want to be back here watching courses all day long. But if it's been a month or two and you want to come in and see the latest one that's done, very easy way to do that. Of course, they're organized by topic as well. So you can see all the Google Analytics stuff, including GA4. We've got the Tag Manager stuff, including server side. We've got Data Studio in the dashboarding section, including the Beyond Basics that's here of Data Studio. And of course, what my personal favorite is the strategy stuff. How do you plan? How do you forecast? How do you optimize? The thinking behind this thing called measurement is almost, actually, it's not true. It is more important than actually learning a tool like Google Analytics. Because if you don't know the thinking behind why you even want to use a tool like Google Analytics, what's the point, right? So measurement strategy is also back here as well. So that's the courses. To show you what they look like as an example, here's your measurement plan. When we talk about building out a measurement plan, you come into it, and this is what most of the courses are basically following, same sort of idea. You have the main lesson, and each of these is videos. So you have the different videos for the different topics. Here's the next lesson with their topics. So you can see how much is back here as you go through and learn and practice and grow. And of course, there are ways to get help as you need help, which you will, and we'll talk about that in a moment. So you've got the WIN courses, right? That's their standard courses that most people are looking for. And if you think about how many courses are back there, it's all the analytics, all the tag manager, all the different levels of those, data studio, strategy, and more. Like we had all sorts of stuff. We just recently came out with Sheets. We're going to be doing, things like BigQuery and, things like that. So there's always new things that are coming out or being updated just in the WIN courses themselves. Next up is the on-demand workshops. On-demand workshops look like this. You always have the most recent Workshop Wednesday back there for you. And you can see those broken down. So they're organized by date. You can get caught up on all the what's new workshops as an Academy member. You can get caught up on all the getting started workshops as an Academy member, the Beyond Basics. These have all been edited down. They obviously don't have things like the Academy tours and stuff like that in there. But it's a really good way to get caught up, and it is entirely searchable. So you can go in here, type in whatever the thing you're looking for. It'll search the entire database of all the on-demand trainings that cover that topic, as well as the different lessons that cover that topic in the WIN courses themselves. So you have access to all of that. Again, WIN courses and the on-demand workshops, just in terms of the content. 24/7, access whenever you need it. It is there for you. The toolbox is our final bit of content. So the toolbox itself has all of the tools that we have access to. So you can copy these, create these. We create them for our members to make things easier. A lot of these are referenced in the WIN courses as well. But the Academy member also gives you access to the Get It Done guide. So things like Eyes on the Journey, which is a pretty popular report that we are very famous for at this point. That kind of shows you deep dive into how the behaviors that are happening on the pages. There's a big little video series on this. It's one of these things where a Get It Done guide is perfect if the topic itself is not big enough for a WIN course, but it is bigger than just what one workshop should cover. That's what we do, the Get It Done guide. So it's kind of like a little middle ground. And this system, the reason that we do this with the WIN courses, the demand workshops, and the toolbox, including the Get It Done guides, is because somehow when something changes in measurement, which happens all the time, we're able to get you updates fairly quickly. So you can always stay up to date and take advantage before anybody else can, which is kind of why we do this for our members. So those are the main content sections. Now, I mentioned earlier, you're going to need help with this stuff. We definitely need to get help with this stuff because this stuff is complicated, because it's sometimes really useful to talk to people about this stuff. So there's a couple ways you can get help. One is the winner circle. So that is kind of the community helping the community, right? Peer-to-peer stuff coming through. So you can see people, the break room sort of mentioning stuff where people are from or whatever. In this case, for social media marketing world and having conversations around that. But they're broken down by different topics. And this is a chance for members to help other members. Sometimes we don't have the skills to answer the questions because it's not our topic of expertise. For example, if somebody asks us something about technical SEO, well, we're not technical SEO experts, but there are definitely members in the Measurement Marketing Academy who are. There are agency owners who are. And so they can help answer those questions. Maybe you're a platform expert when it comes to Google Ads. Maybe you can help somebody answer Google Ads questions, or maybe it's a builder platform or something like that, WooCommerce or whatever, right? So Shopify. And so it's like people can help each other back there, but they're all speaking a unified language, which is measurement marketing. It's one thing everybody has in common. So peers helping peers. It's a super, super cool group and a really good spot to build networks, etc. The other place to get help, and this is, to be honest, what most people use, is the Ask an Instructor support system. So Ask an Instructor support's pretty easy to access. You get into there, you ask your question, pop in your question, the details. What we really, really love are screenshots and videos in this section. So you send us over a link to a video that's kind of a full screen video that walks us through what your issue is, what your question is. It doesn't matter if it's a strategy question or a tactical sort of like, how do I get this goal to work in Tag Manager question? It does not matter. Send us over anything that you want us to take a look at from a measurement perspective. We will be able to get you unstuck and moving forward. That's the idea. And our job as instructors is to help teach you, to build you muscle. So yes, we will sometimes give you an answer, but mostly it's to help you to find the answer and leave you so that you learn these skills as an organization, right, within your own organization. That's what the Ask Instructor support is for. And it's the closest thing to essentially a quote unquote private conversation between your side and our side, right? The instructor team and then your side of things. So that sometimes I realize putting things into the winner circle might not be something you can do because you don't want to share maybe client data or something. But you can certainly have a behind the scenes conversation with the instructors back here in the Ask Instructor support system. And of course, all of your answers are recorded, so you can have those and mark them as favorites or whatever else. It's a really incredible system, and we built this entire academy again to help you. It's not that you're going to come in here and watch all the videos, because we create content faster than you can watch it. But it is a just-in-time learning platform, so you can come through when you have a question. There will be some way that you can get unstuck and moving forward. Maybe it's a course, maybe it's a workshop, maybe it's a get it done guide, maybe it's a winner circle question that you can help answer or get an answer to, or it's Ask Instructor support. And 9 times out of 10, if you send over videos and screenshots, we send over videos and screenshots. So it's an absolute incredible platform to be a part of. Obviously, would encourage you to be a part of that as well. The manage account here, just so you know, is the standard manage account stuff. So if you need to change your email or billing information, that sort of stuff, kind of standard at that point. So the academy itself, to kind of run down the value here, the courses, the Ask Instructor support, the on-demand workshop library, the Winner Circle community, you get access to every single course that's available back there. So we don't limit anything. You get access to everything, including all the updates. The Ask an Instructor support, you get access to that. You can ask as many questions as you want. There is no limit to the amount of questions that you are able to ask back there. So we have people sometimes that are like, I feel bad asking so many questions. Please ask questions. The instructors actually like that more. It's a dirty little secret, but it's true. The instructors love the people who ask more questions because they know that those people are learning. Those students are learning. So please ask questions back there. The on-demand workshop library, again, 24/7 access. There are hundreds and hundreds of workshops that are back there in this database, completely searchable. New ones added at just about every single week. The on-demand workshop library is back there for you. And of course, the Winner Circle community. You get access to essentially what is a private club of measurement marketers and those learning measurement marketing that you have access to. So all told, you have approximately $15,000 in training and support that you get access to as an academy member. And technically it goes a little bit higher each and every week because we keep adding content to this platform. Again, our job is not to overwhelm, it's to help, to make sure that you build skills, that you build your own measurement muscle. That is what the academy is there for. So with that, it's officially that time. It's our job to ask you to join the Measurement Marketing Academy. And of course, in order to do that, all you need to do is go here, measure.tips/getacademy. It will take you to the most recent offers that are available to you right now today. Again, measure.tips/getacademy to take a look at the options for you. And we look forward to having you a part of the Measurement Marketing Academy soon. With that, we'll go ahead and bring this one to a close. This has been Beyond Basics, how to structure your Google BigQuery. Thanks again for watching this workshop, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care.